Hello, everyone. My name is Connor McFeely. I graduated Smyrna Park High School in 2018. Throughout high school, I played a lot of sports. I was on the men's lacrosse team, and I played football. I also played scrub basketball throughout the winter. Throughout high school, I love being a member of a team, so I knew I wanted to become a member of a team for a common goal outside of college when I graduated. So I thought about different options to get into the military, and talking to some career counselors and some recruiters, I found out that I wanted to go through ROTC. So I went to a smaller school called Millersville University up in Pennsylvania. And I didn't have a scholarship or anything. I ended up just joining the ROTC program, and I worked hard to get good grades. I was a part of the men's lacrosse team, or men's club lacrosse team, excuse me. And I ended up getting a 2.5 year academic scholarship for ROTC. So in ROTC, it's basically another way to commission into the United States Army as an officer. You can either go to West Point or the Naval Academy if you're going to go in the Navy, or you can go through something called Officer Candidate School. But I chose to go ROTC. It was the best decision I've ever made. So that eventually led to me commissioning in the Army after I graduated college. So what was great about ROTC is I got the best of both worlds in terms of a whole college experience and also the military aspect. So it's basically incorporated into your class schedule. I would go to, my standard gen ed classes. I majored in geography, so I had a lot of geography classes. And then I had military science. So along with your class in RTC, you also have PT 3 times a week, which kept me in shape, which I really liked. And it's all about camaraderie. You really get to know, your classmates. Once again, I went to a smaller school, so I commissioned into the Army as an officer with only 4 other people. I think my school, I graduated with 2,000 kids, so it wasn't too big. But those soldiers that I commissioned with, my classmates at the time, I talked to every day. It's just a bond like no other. So once I graduated RTC, once I graduated school, I commissioned as a military police officer because that's what I wanted to do. So when you're in RTC, to circle back, there are so many different Army jobs. So your major in college doesn't have to do with anything with what you do in the Army. So you can go, I know people have majored in, mathematics who have become pilots in the Army. It has nothing to do with what you major in the Army. So I chose to go military police, and I commissioned, and I graduated college, and I went to military police basic officer leader course in Fort Leonard Wood. It was a 4 month course. It was in Missouri. It was a great experience, and that's where you basically learn how to do your job, essentially. So you learn all your military police basic duties and such. It's more of a classroom environment. It's not rigorous training. You have the weekends off. It was a great experience. I got to explore all of St. Louis and the surrounding area, Kansas City. And these schools are basically all over the country. Depending on what you do, they call it your MOS, your military occupation specialty, which is your job in the military, and they're just at different Army stations throughout the country. So once I graduated school, BOLIC is what they call it. I came back and I was in the Army Reserve. So you have 2 different choices when you join the Army. You can either go active duty, which is going to be your 9 to 5 job every single day, Monday through Friday, or you can go the Army Reserves. So I chose to go the Army Reserves. It allowed me to have a lot more leniency. I didn't want to do it full time at first, so I was able to gain an event management job. And I worked as a civilian, and I planned government events out of Columbia, Maryland. And I would basically go. They call it drill, and you go 1 weekend out of the month, and you perform basically soldier tasks at your unit. So my unit was at Fort Meade, I was living in Baltimore, Maryland at the time. It's 20 minutes away, so I would go every weekend and perform those tasks. It's basically just in case we were to go to war, if the Army would need us, we would deploy, and it's basically like a backup for the Army. But further down the road, I decided that I wanted to go active duty, and because I loved it so much. And that's the great thing about the reserves is it allows you to make that decision. So when COVID actually kicked off last March, I got laid off from my job. So I reached out to my Army unit and said, hey, this is what happened. You guys have a job for me? And they said, we do. So now I work it's at the 200th Military Police Command, which is in Fort Meade, Maryland. And I work in an emergency operations center. So I'm basically in charge of a 24/7 operation. I have 6 soldiers beneath me, and we basically we're at the command level. which is the highest level in the Army, and we have thousands of soldiers beneath us. So I basically manage, their health status in regards to COVID, and I put it into a report depending on how they're doing. And these reports, they don't all have to do with COVID. It's basically everything that the commander needs to know about their soldiers. So it's, if they get arrested, or if they do get COVID, or if they lose power at their home, just anything from big to small, I put it in a report and then I push it to the actual commander. So I've been doing that for about 1 year, a year and some change actually. And yeah, my orders are actually up in October, and I'm really looking forward to. I think I'm going to stick with the active duty side of the Army, just because I really enjoy being a member of a team, and the benefits are unmatched. And it's basically it gets me where I want to go. I can. I've been to Korea. I went to Korea. I forgot to mention that in November. It's just so many great opportunities, and it's all for a great goal. I'm actually going to move to Brooklyn, New York. I've always wanted to live in New York City. So I'm gonna leave October 1st, and I'll actually work for they call it a civil affairs unit in Queens, New York. So once again, that is the route that I decided to take.